Good afternoon, everyone. EagleX from ATX EagleX Gaming here today, and I have our Market Watch for July 1st. First of all, have a nice 4th of July weekend. Stay safe, have fun. And before I get started with today's Market Watch, if you guys haven't already, I would appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe, support the channel. It really means a lot. We're almost at 500 subscribers. I would love to hit that 500 mark before the end of this upcoming month of July. That being said, let's get started with our Market Watch. So I like starting with sealed product. In our sealed products, we're going through, and we're seeing at the bottom EX1, no surprises down there. A lot of the chase cards in that set are going down, but Machinedramons are kind of like the desirable card from the set, since we do see there is more Machinedramon support with the new Chaosdramon and EX3. But if we scroll all the way up here, we see 1.0, no surprise, is the expensive booster. And then BT5 is actually really close behind still. Last time we checked, we looked, and there's lots of staples that are still played, Defeat being the big one that lots of decks use. And 1.5 for staples as well. And then we have the newest set, Digital Hazard. EX2 is sitting at $73, which is really solid for a new set. And it has lots of great pulls. Speaking of which, let's get started with some of EX2's pulls. So we know in the high end, we have our Beelzemon and Galamond stuff, the most hyped stuff of the set for sure. Because everyone's excited to use their Beelzemons in a deck. They're excited for Galamond to get a secret. However, Sakuyamon has been probably the biggest surprise factor for me. The fact that the yellow Altarts have been holding a very solid price, not just the Sakuya, but also the Tamer, Rika, is really crazy to me. But of all the cards I would actually really look out for, the Digimon Altarts. This card has lots of longevity, not just in Galamond decks, but also in security control style decks, as you run 4 of these with 4 of the Dash Pack Gilmon. And you get 2 draws, it powers up your Eden's Javelin really fast, it helps your consistency with those decks. And then Gummymon is another one I'll get to towards the end, but it's used in some Grandis decks. But there's lots of cards that do have playability in this set. You have your Dobermon for your 3 Musketeers. You have Viximon for your yellow toolbox decks, especially the Renamon line, since you have all the plugins. That'll proc Viximon for a draw every turn, ideally. And you have your D-Reaper stuff, which is another big thing. They're not high dollar, but they are plentiful, and you need a lot of them. So we'll probably see searchers down here, yeah, roughly $1 each. So that's just EX2 and a quick wrap-up. But yeah, Digimon, though, is something I would definitely be keeping an eye out for. I bought my playset of these. I anticipate on using them a lot. And you'll just see, their prices are going up. And I think they were actually bought out in the EU market. So, 9 listings. There's not a lot left available. Next, talked about Galamond. Did you guys remember when I told you pick up your Rise Grades when they're $4? Well, if you did, you've definitely been rewarded. They're roughly $16, $20 a pop. Yeah, closer to 16. They're needed to play out the Tamers. It's some very value-heavy cards in your deck, which is why they're very sought after right now. But one thing I was not expecting to go up so fast, TK Kari Tamers. If you are playing the Reaper deck with a yellow base, this is your Tamer you have 2 to 3 copies of with your yellow Kari fixer. But Double Diamond is considered an older set now, as it's, I think, 3 sets behind, because we have BT7, 8, and then EX2. Yeah, so it's 3 sets old. That's considered old in Digimon now. And not to mention, the supply of Double Diamond dried up really fast because of the Ghost Omni Chase. So I expect this to probably hold for a bit, because we don't have any reprints of this super strong Tamer. And it's not only used in yellow decks, but it's used in a variety of decks as well. So keep that in mind. If you don't have this Tamer, keep an eye out for it. On a similar note, if you guys watch Mario Gaming World, he really loves this option, and this is something I was playing at the start of BT7 with all the hybrids everywhere. Super strong security effect. This card has basically been bought up from the market. $5 is your cheapest copy right now. If you guys don't have them, you definitely want to get them before they keep going up. And with them appearing in more and more deck profiles as people realize the potency of it in security, it's just going to keep going up as there's no alternative arts or reprints of this card. exclusive to that yellow starter back in the days of the release of the game. Similar note, Tactical Retreat stamp. If you're playing D-Reaper, there's not a bunch you can really get for max rarity. Tactical Retreat is definitely the big one, though, as you use this to Tactical Retreat a Gatekeeper, or you can Tactical Retreat basically anything to give you longevity. Bubbles in particular to help turbo out more of your Reaper package. But this one, there's a few of them on the market, but if you don't have them and you're just looking to bling Reaper, this is a card I would consider, along with Spiral Masquerade. This is your best removal in the deck, as the Mother is a permanent body. You'll just constantly get ways to remove and get an extra 3,000 in addition to how many searchers and ADR things you have on the field. So this is another thing I would really look out for, especially as it's played more and more with the Mother decks out. But if you guys haven't paid attention, there's also a black base. The black base uses this black Izzy Fixer from BT4 to manipulate the top 3 decks, so you could have a strong Gatekeeper turn and ideally recover something that you would want to. And this card's like $4 now. Gotta take shipping into consideration. We're looking at $4 Izzy's from BT4. People didn't realize, but in Japan this was a pricey card for a while, which is why it also got a reprint with Davis and the Jesmon and Ragnarlordmon starter decks. So thankfully we have that to look forward to in the upcoming weeks. In fact, I'm kind of curious what the box topper is going for. Yeah, he's also roughly $4, so if you're looking for something that makes sense, he's closer to 7 with shipping. Just something to keep in mind for max rarity. And then you also run Izzy and Joe for the black base with Final Zubion Punch. It protects the Mother a lot more because decks do attempt to swing over. If you don't have them, we saw what happened to TK Kari. This card's pretty flexible. It just hasn't gotten as much love lately. But we could expect this card to probably follow a similar pattern to TK Kari Dual Fixer. Not to mention, their stamps are really cheap right now. So if you're looking for max rarity, Black D-Reaper, not a bad pickup. And then we're just going to talk about decks as a whole. Beelzemon, we know we have the new Ayamako Tamer. But if you recall, Matt was like the most expensive fixer for purple for the longest time because he was the only fixer. If you're looking to build purple decks in general, Matt is a super great pickup right now, around $2.50, $3 per copy. I would definitely scoop these up if you don't have them and plan on playing purple. But we talked about D-Reaper. You guys realize Sora and Mimi got bought out? It's like a $20 pre-release stamp. The reason this has gone up is because D-Reapers do not have levels, and in response to D-Reapers, purple decks don't have removal because their removal is typically level-oriented, so they run this Tamer instead to farm extra memory. Since no Reapers have levels, they won't have a level 4, therefore you will gain the 2 memory at start of turn. So definitely a strong dual Tamer 4 format because of how relevant Reaper is. Then talked about Beelzemon briefly, and we see the secret from 1.0 is like around the $46 range. It's fair for a secret from an old set. He is used in a lot of the list, but it will not destroy your list if you don't have it. And as you can tell, like the SR Beelzemon is very affordable, so you have a very cheap alternative, but it's not like the optimal alternative per se. But the Blast modes sitting around $40 is very fair, and the alt arts holding their respective prices is also, for the art, really solid. Like, you can't deny it. This Blast mode does look very sick. Then, similar note, you guys remember how Mastodon was the most expensive deck to build for the longest time? Chaos modes were sitting at like $40, and now we're seeing them at like $25s, $30s. Definitely the time to scoop the Loosemon Chaos mode secrets. This card is still good in the future. He is falling off a little bit right now because everyone's focusing on new decks, but if you're looking at picking up Loosemons, I would strongly encourage you to, like right now. Similar note with Magna Angelmons. An old SR from 1.0 that continuously sees play in not only Mastamon, but security control. Sub $40 now. Feels weird to say, but $40 SR is a pretty solid price, considering what it had been when it was around the $50 mark. So look at getting these if you don't have them yet. And did you guys realize the Corbon from the June events are basically $200 a pop? Last one bought was $200. If you're sitting on these and you don't care about them, good time to cash in and make some money. If you want to get them, they're going to go up in the long run. They're hard to get in the English, but the Japanese copies are just now being circulated. So if you're looking for a cheaper alternative, definitely look at getting your Japanese copies. And then you guys remember Tamer Set 1 just came out. Cards that definitely are notable. The Impmon has a very sick art with the Beelzemon in the background. He is the exact same one in Event Pack 2, so if you have a preferred art, most people are leaning towards this one. Just be aware of that. The Sukuyamon is actually seeing play in BT9 as a counter to all the OTK decks. As you hide in Nursery and build a safe stack, you kind of just counter it and give them -3 checks so they can't OTK you. This card will see play. If you don't have them, not a bad scoop at 20. And then the Terriermon's probably the other notable one. You have the 1-year pack one with the Terriermon Lotmon together. But this one at like $14. It's a very cheap alternative art for this card. And like the original one's like $2 just for the regular art. So I would keep an eye on this one for sure. Now, briefly touching up BT9 Meta. It's an OTK meta. Lots of decks like to build one giant stack, like X Antibody, Grandis Quagumon, Blue Garuru, X Antibody. Like, they're very OTK oriented, or you play control to stop the OTKs in the form of security control, or 3 Musketeers. So I'm just going to briefly touch up on some of these decks. I talked about Grandis Quagumon for the longest time. Just going to pick a random list here. One thing you will need a 4 of is Grand Quagumon for sure. There's no doubt about it. He's the boss monster. It gives you extra checks. Other cards that we don't have, so Grand Quagumon's, and he has been going up lately. People are getting ready for this deck. As you can tell, he went from a $5 card to $12 now, and he's been selling at 12s. Yeah, Palmon's not as staple in these decks as it was because you are massive with Grandis. And I probably should have pulled it up, but Mimi's a really solid card. But Gummymon is another egg that you really want to consider for these decks. Gives you extra draw for extra consistency. It's that weird one-of egg. And the reason it works is because when Digivolving, you suspend your opponent's Digimon with Grandis. So it just gives you a way to get, basically, I think it's like a 1 memory. Yeah. 1 memory, suspend, draw a card, so you can get another stack, or you can get other pieces you're missing. So Gummymon, great pickup. And just to make sure we covered it, Mimi is the Tamer that you use for the deck. $6, amazing pickup right now. Get it for your deck if you don't have it yet. Our next deck I want to touch up is X Antibody. This deck uses the new Alphamon for the most part, but one thing that is for sure in the deck is Oriyumon. Oriyumon does not get power crept out. In fact, he gets better, as long as Alphamon is in the name of the Digimon attacking, you can restand. That includes Oryukin mode. So if you don't have them, pick up your Oriyumons. $2, amazing pickup for how strong this deck will be next set and how hyped it will probably be as well. And the last deck I want to touch on is 3 Musketeers, one of those anti-meta decks. It's a very control-oriented deck. Things you'll need for the deck. Bielstar. She's a very, very good pickup at $20 right now. And on a similar note, 7 cost options. You'll see the most common one that you see as a 4 of now is Cocytus Breath. Cocytus Breath is used because it bounces and gets by most protection decks have, but you still have other options for removal like Fly Bullet, and then Nailbone is the other option I would pay attention to, as this card is exclusive to the starter deck with no other reprints or arts of any type. That being said, if you guys enjoyed the content, I appreciate if you can give a like, comment, subscribe. With that being said, take care, y'all.